I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you? Coming to theaters May 19th. Discover a world that you've only imagined. Walt Disney Pictures presents Dinosaur, rated PG.
What is it?
I don't know.
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. And this time, first off, if you're ever interested in requesting any type of reviews or topics, reactions, re-reviews, pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send a request either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Could be pretty much any type of video if you want. Now, this is for a film called Dinosaur from the year 2000. It's for Sean. Thank you so much, Sean. Now, this movie I had heard of because back in the 80s, this was a film that originally Paul Verhoeven wanted to do with Phil Tippett, and they were going to do a live-action dinosaur film with stop-motion animation, and I forgot what year the pre-production started or the planning stages started. And it was going to be a bit of a darker story, which makes sense because Paul Verhoeven, director of RoboCop and Total Recall. So, for what I understand, the gist of the story was kind of the same of the survival of going from point A to point B, but at the end it was going to be the good dinosaur and the bad dinosaur fighting, the good dinosaur wins, and then the big cataclysm happens where everybody dies, but then that will be the start of the human race. And, you know, Paul Verhoeven, when he talks about RoboCop, he's like, Jesus, I want to make a movie about Jesus. And it's like, well, I get it, Paul, but I think RoboCop is a different matter. Yeah, you can put that connotation into it, of course, but most people look at RoboCop as a tit-ass bloody action movie. But, you know, Paul thinks of it in different ways. And of course, getting into the 90s, you had films like Jurassic Park and CGI coming into the landscape of movies, and one thing led to another. They kind of walked away from the project, but Disney wanted to still continue with the film. One thing led to another, and it got to the CEO at the time, Michael Eisner. And he's like, yeah, you know, of course it was lightened up a bit. Movie got made. The two directors, I don't recognize anything. I don't recognize their names, so I don't know what else they've done. I believe in the original idea of the flick, none of the dinosaurs were supposed to talk, which makes sense. It was live action, but with stop motion animation, with the dinosaurs, and somewhere along the way, someone said, we gotta make the dinosaurs talk. Now, while I don't mind the voice cast in this movie, because you have D.B. Sweeney, who's in films like Fire in the Sky, Ozzie Davis, an older actor who was on the TV show Evening Shade with Burt Reynolds. He was in Stephen King's The Stand, among many other stuff. Bubba Hotep with Bruce Campbell. Ozzie Davis played the guy who thought he was JFK in Bubba Hotep. Alfre Woodard. You had Della Reese from the TV show Touched by an Angel. She's a voice in this. Actually, Vinny from Doogie Howser. That's not the actor's real name, but Doogie Howser's buddy from the TV show Vinny. He's a voice in this as the best friend of our lead dinosaur. I don't mind the voice cast, but I do wonder if the film would have been more effective without the voice. The voices in there, because then you get some iffy humor. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. So they made the dinosaurs talk, and they said, well, it's going to be animation, CGI, but we'll do the landscape, the environments live action, which I thought that was made for an interesting looking movie. Most of the background and either the trees, the jungles, or various other areas is live action, but then they put in CG dinosaurs in place. And like I said, that makes for an interesting looking film, makes it a little bit different. And the worry on that is because it's live action, that might make the CGI stand out a little bit more on the dinosaurs compared to, well, this is real, because it's real. Will that reflect a bit more on the dinosaurs' CG quality? And I'll say, I mean, the movie came out in 2000. The CG looks fine considering the time it was made. And at the time, this was thought of as groundbreaking. I believe at the time this came out, this was the most expensive CGI movie, like CGI animated movie, I should say. At $120 some million. I know. Back then a movie, 120, that's the most expensive? Now every fucking movie is like $200-300 million. Maybe not now since what's going on, but that's why you have to ease that back. We have to take some kind of control. It's getting out of fucking hand. Because then we gotta make $1 billion, otherwise it's no good. The plot is very, very simple, very, very basic. The movie's only an hour and 20 some minutes, and it was an easy sit through. The plot, I liked. The first 5-10 minutes were fairly effective, because I like the idea that the first shot is from the inside of an egg as it hatches. I thought that was a neat idea. That was an idea I did not see coming, but it makes it a nice way to really hone in on the main character, that we're there with this character during its birth, during its hatching, and in a weird psychological way we're almost imprinted on the main character because we're born into the world at the very same time, in the very same way that this character is. And then it does a nice job establishing the landscape and the look of the film, and the real background with the CG animation, and as it hatches, well, even before it hatches, to be fair, it's inside before it hatches, but we see it, the end. Well, like, what the hell is this thing in front of us inside of the shell, the egg? But then this dinosaur comes in, fucks everything up. All the other eggs get killed. And that's another thing that's effective in the movie. There are characters that die, not a whole lot, but it does at least give you a sense of danger, that there is some kind of, well, I said danger. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. But it's like a little hint of that darkness, probably from the original idea by Paul Verhoeven and Phil Tippett. And there's even a point where one dinosaur is killed, and if you see in the background, you see the carnivorous dinosaur chomping on last bits of meat. And it's like over here in the background. They did that so that it doesn't scare the kids, but it's still there for people to see, like it eating and chewing part of this. Granted, it's a character we don't know, Supliferous, background character, but still, it's like, okay, death can be involved in a scenario. So it brings up the stakes a little bit. And that helps with the story being told. Now, one age is left, is just carried by all these assholes, and it goes through the fucking water. And this is where it showcases, like I said, the landscape, showing the different types of dinosaurs as it travels on this journey, until it gets with this on this island with a family of lemurs. And that is pretty much when we hear voices, which is Ozzie Davis as the older lemur, Alfie Woodard is a younger one, Vinny from Doogie Howser, he's a lemur that you tell looks a bit different compared to the others. Well, he's not in the film yet, to be fair. But this dinosaur is born, hatched, and they're not sure what to do with it, but they take it in, they raise it, and it jumps many years later. Now, I was getting back to what I was saying with the voices. Part of me wishes the film was done without voice work. I do think you could have clearly told the story without voice work and just had mannerisms, body language, and that would have made a more interesting experience, because it does come across as a little bit Land Before Time-ish, and I would say I would put Land Before Time above this movie. I think mainly because you have a dinosaur who's not at home, and it's a journey to try to find the best place, this glorious place. In this case, a place for characters to nest and more to be born. Without having voices, I think that would have given either the filmmakers or the writers or whoever even more of a challenge to express your story. And I think it can be done. I easily think it can be done. Because like I said, I mean, some of the voices, like Ozzie Davis's voice is fine. D.B. Sweeney would not be the first choice, I would think, for this type of character. He does okay, though. For some reason, when I first heard his voice, I'm like, that's the voice for this character? I don't know what it is about it that felt off at first. But he did fine. I just, yeah, I don't know why I felt off about it, but he does fine. The Vinny character, that's not his name, but I forgot the actor's real name. You know, he's going on because it's a love session. I'm the professor of love, and school's in session. Is trying to hit on all these female lemurs, but he ain't getting none. Because the game's all whacked and shit. I'm waiting for the dialogue to go into that, and I don't need to hear about Vinny from Doogie Howser as a lemur wanting to get his dick wet. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. I went, man, the reason for that is bring up the sort of scope and beauty of the landscape, and then it kind of devolves into this silly, goofy comedy. And thankfully, though, the movie does not do that a lot. Really only with that particular character. Even then, after a bit, he kind of stops doing that. Really, that's one of the only scenes that character acts that way. Oh, great, what movie is this going to be? But, again, it doesn't get that bad. One thing leads to another. There's a shitload of explosions. There's stuff from the sky. They gotta run and escape. A few of them make it. The rest, I guess, were assumed died on the island. Like I said, there's death, there's danger. And as our lead dinosaur and the 4 or so lemurs left, they find this herd and they go on this long journey. They go from point A to point B, and that's the rest of the film. Like I said, it's a very simple, very basic story. I could guarantee that's one of the reasons why the critics were not the most positive about the film, because, okay, you put all this beauty into the look of the film, which is even more awe-inspiring at the time. Maybe nowadays it doesn't look as much, but back then it was a big deal. But for this generic story, the thing is with a generic story, it's a double-edged sword. What do I mean by that? On the bad side, of course, because it's generic, you're hoping that it'll be something new or something different, or something newer, I should say. Nothing's totally new. Or like twists and turns of, wow, I didn't see that coming. Oh, wow, I didn't expect that. The good thing about being generic is that it could be, if you just want to sit back and relax and have an easygoing time, this is a movie that just kind of flies by, and it doesn't have to make you think a lot, and you're just there being a simple witness to the proceedings, and like what happened to me, had a decent enough time that I don't really have a ton of flaws that I have with the flick. Now, yeah, it does go into generic territory. Of course, there's a female dinosaur, and he's going to get with her by the end. The leader of this herd is a dickhead, and he's going to get his comeuppance. That dickhead just happens to be the sister of the female dinosaur that our lead dinosaur, D.B. Sweeney's character, likes, or goes a liking to. And you can kind of figure what's going to happen later. And it's showing that D.B. Sweeney's character, he showcases compassion. He helps out these other dinosaurs, these older ones. One is a Brachiosaurus and one is a Triceratops. And that one's voiced by DeLuise. By the end, they have to go a different way because the assholes are leaving them behind. You have all this stuff going on in a cave. You have these dinosaurs, bad guys, which by the credits says they're Carnotaurus. I almost want to say Carnosaurs just for the fuck of it. I'll just say Carnosaurs. Why not? At least like 2 Carnosaurs going after them. And like I said, watching the film, other than questioning whether they should have gone with voices, idea would have been interesting to see them try to tell this with music and mannerisms, and it'd be more, like I said, challenging, but I think it would be more interesting. The animation was fine for the time. The score, James Newton Howard, fit the film well. It wasn't out of place. The voice work for the most part is fine. If you take out the end credits, it's only an hour and 15 minutes. If you really like animated films, if you want to see an early CGI animated flick when it was getting into its infancy before it really came into place with future productions. If you want to see, if you like dinosaurs, you know, it doesn't have that ending that Paul Verhoeven wanted, which that to me would have been a bad way. Like, oh, if the good dinosaur beat the bad dinosaur, then 30 seconds later, they're all dead. I'd be like, well, then the fight wouldn't fucking matter, Paul, Mr. Verhoeven. This whole battle wouldn't matter. He'd be like, he could just sit his ass down. Doesn't matter. We don't die anyway. So, it kind of defeats the purpose of your story. So, in retrospect, I'm glad they didn't go with that route. Here, it's definitely more of a satisfying ending on that level. I would say it was nice that there's some characters that are in danger, some that do get killed. Not a whole lot, but mainly a few peripheral. I guess if you're, like I said, if you're a big fan of dinosaurs, you're a big fan of CG animated movies, you want to watch something with the kids, it's not too dark, not too scary, that it doesn't have humor, like shit jokes and piss jokes, doesn't have that type of humor, which is nice. For the most part, the voice work is fine. This is not one of those films that has a lot of songs. There's really no songs I could think of in the movie. Maybe at the end credits, but I don't even remember that. But not some movies, they have songs throughout, like other Disney movies. That's not really the case here. It is more of a score. Unless there were songs, I completely forgot about it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it was an okay film. It was an alright film. Not too bad. Yeah, again, there's really nothing in it to get that mad or angry about. It's a decent flick. It's a decent watch. It's nothing that... I would say is nothing that ran home with me, so to speak. Like, oh, wow, I can't wait to see it again. But I'm glad I saw it once. Because it is a movie I've heard of. I remember the poster with the big eye and... it has some nice moments of heart to it as well. And that's definitely appreciative. So overall, not a bad movie, Dinosaur. So thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.